Okay, today is September 12th, 1996. I'm Bill Schneider. Charles Hamby's here, and we're working with Howard Luke, um, and we're going to be looking at some of the plant lore and use for medicinal purposes. And this is background information that Charles is working on for his project, master's project, and he's already gathered a great deal of information. But we want to try to focus today on how you learned these skills, um, and who taught you, and um, maybe some of the things they said about how to use them and when to use them, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So appreciate that.
Well, all these things that I was taught, my mother taught me, and then my uncle taught me how to do things. And I used to go around a lot of old people, because I lost my dad when I was really young. And in order to get something to eat, to get some meat or fish or whatever, I used to go with the old people, and go fishing with them, and then I get a little that way. And this is how I learned what our herbs was, They tell me about these things. Like when I cut my hand, them days we didn't have no Band-Aids, no nothing. All we had was iodine, and nobody didn't want that because it burns the heck out of you, So nobody didn't like that. They said they are trying to kill us. They say they're not trying to cure us. So let's do it our way. So that's what they did. They did it their way, and they cure one another. Like like the pitch. You see, I got some on that in that can right now. Soon as it thaws out, soon as it melts, you put it on your cut right now. You put on your cut or something like that, and it'll heal it up and stuff like that. I fell against the stove one time, in the corner of the stove, and they just cut right through the whole thing. You could just see my teeth. Yeah, they just cut right there, and there's no scar on that all, nothing.
Now, when you say the pitch, you talking spruce pitch?
Yeah, I got some in that can there now.
Okay.
And what my mother did was she just got pitch, and she just put that pitch in there, just filled up in there, and she put a piece of rack under that rack, just stick to that pitch. There's two kind of a pitch, You got to use that really yellow stuff. The other one, the other brown stuff, you use that to like your glue, like emery glue. Yeah, they use that on canoe. See, I got a canoe down there. You take a look at it after a while, and you will see where that brown pitch, they use that to fill up the holes and stuff like that.
Okay, so the yellow pitch you'd use for
infection. I had infection. They cut my finger out one time, and they didn't take all the stitch out. And I was way out in the flats. I was hunting muskrat, and my hand started getting swollen up. And I look at it, and it was getting infected, and it was just going like this, And I thought of it. So I just I poked it with a needle. And then I put that pitch on there. And I left it there. I put a lot of it on there. Next morning, that pitch just drew that stitch right out. It was sticking out when I got it, and that's what it was.
Okay.
So we use that all for everything.
Okay. I'd like to back up for a minute. You said that your mother and your uncle taught you on how to use the plants and all. Was it where you sat and you watched them do it?
I watched them do it, and then they told me over and over and over, so I don't forget all these things. That what I'm saying, that at night, because at night we used to run out of we didn't have no money to buy candles or stuff like that. So as soon as we get through with supper, we used to lay on the bed, and then Mom would tell stories, and my uncle would come visit us. My uncle was blind, and so he used to come and tell us stories and tell us things. And these how I learned how to do things, because them days they said they didn't want to take it with them. They wanted to leave it. They wanted me to learn that, and that's why they kept talking to me. I used to tell my mother and my uncle that you just told me that the other day. Now you tell me again. You never heard it. They said we want you to keep that. And a lot of times, my mother, when I don't pay attention, she knows that I'm not paying attention. She put a piece of rag in my ear, this side, put a rag in there.
So the information would stay
Yeah,
in and not drain out the other side?
it'll stay there, yeah. And my uncle do the same too. My uncle was blind, and he used to tell me stories about the plant and how to hold your luck. Ali is our luck. You see that over there? That's the reason I call my cooperation Ali Spirit Camp. You see that weasel there?
Yes.
That's Ali, and he's the one that he's so fast. He tell the other animals not to go there, not to go there. There's somebody over there with bow and arrow or something like that, or it's open water or something like that, you know. And so that's what we and he tells me story about them things. And sometimes I'm going like this, you know, and I fool around, and he's blind. And he tell me a story about how medicine men used to do, and people don't want to make medicine because they hurt each other. They say it's better if you heal yourself here. Because if you make medicine, they claim that they hurt themselves by doing that, you know, because that time they didn't say Jesus Christ or God or anything. They just say Tanakta. Tanakta means our Father. And they said, we do that, we wouldn't go to heaven. So that's what they believe in this. So they say you got to use herb and stuff and learn how to use that and use it right. And you got to believe in it. You got to believe in yourself. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you. So my uncle I used to go up there, and he know that I'm fooling around like this, you know, and how could he tell when he's blind? I go like this, you know, I look around, and he just take that cane, he just clam it down, you know, and scare the hell out of me. So I go home, I started crying, I come home, I told Mom, I'm not going to go up there no more. I said, Uncle is too mean. I said, he just slammed that cane down. So she told me, she says, you know, your uncle really loves you. He wants you to listen to him. He knows that you're not paying attention. That's why he do that. He loves you. So I went back up again. My uncle told me, I know you're going to come back. So that's how I learned, you know. I learned the hard way.
Okay. I had heard from several other people that there used to be rituals involved in harvesting the plants and things like that. Do you know anything of those?
Like putting them away, keeping them harvesting?
No, more like were there certain prayers that were offered up when the plants were harvested and used?
Oh yeah, they do a lot of that. Yeah, they do a lot of that. They used to do that a lot of that.
What about nowadays? Do you know anyone that is still doing the prayers?
No, nobody does it now. Hardly no, nobody don't. I'll tell you, that's the reason why we're losing it so fast right now. We've got to continue doing these things, and I believe in that stuff, and this is why I keep all this stuff right now.
Well, what type of herbs do you use here?
Well, this one here, they call it in our language. They call it Ethnobotany, and you just boil it up. You know, you boil it up and you just go like this, and you don't keep them in plastic bag or anything like that. You gotta keep them in a sack or paper bag, because if you put them in plastic bag, they'll sweat, and it'll melt.
Okay. Do you have what this translate to in English?
It's stinkweed.
Ah,
Yeah, stinkweed. Yeah.
and what would you use stinkweed
Oh,
for?
you use it for everything. If you got arthritis, you just boil that thing, just boil it up, and you get a rack and you just put it over your leg like that, or wherever your shoulder, or put it in there, and that'll work. That'll work for you. But you gotta really believe in it, otherwise they ain't gonna. I use it all the time. Every time I get so bad, I get in my hip in here.
Okay, now you mentioned that stinkweed you use for the arthritis. Can it be used for other things, like if you have you pulled a muscle or something?
Yeah, you could use it for anything, like cramp and stuff like that. You get cramp, and stuff like that. And like you say, you pull your muscle or something like that, it'll put it back in place. But you gotta put it on a real tight cloth. Them days, we used to have good cloth. We used to get good wool them days, and that stuff just soaks right in there, and they just wrap it up in there like that.
Okay, now what about using the stinkweed as a tea?
Well, I don't know about that. I never tried that. But they got regular stuff. I got some out here that we use it for tea. They're long, and you dry them too, just like this one. You dry them, then whenever you want them, you got them.
Okay. What other herb do you have there?
And this one is from the birch tree, and and if you got the flu, and stuff, it's just like a seed. They come out in springtime, and they're seed, and it's got a shell in there, and you take this and break it up like that. And I keep that on hand all the time. When I get flu, I use that. I use this one here, and
Now, do you make this up into a tea to drink it?
yeah, when you drink it, yeah,
Okay.
it's awful taste and stuff, but yeah, it'll cure you though. Any kind of flu you got, it'll work for you.
Okay, when you make up this into a tea, uh, how much of it do you put into the water?
Well, it depends on how much water how much you got. Like a dipper, you take. If you want it really strong, if you want strong coffee, what do? You add more coffee to it.
Yes.
Well, it's the same thing as this one here. You put more. You put about half of this one here, half of this here.
Okay, so if you had real bad flu, you would make a
Yeah.
stronger tea.
Mom always carried this in all the time in the bottle. In the bottle. Now they got plastic and stuff, and that plastic is the worst thing you can put your stuff into. Your drinking water and stuff like that. The plastic bottles and stuff like that. They said that's. I don't know how people used to know that these stuff was gonna come out, and they said whatever you do, don't put them in these things like this. Don't put them in there. Otherwise, it'll. And if you want to pick herbs and stuff like that, you got to go someplace where nobody haven't been. Like where there's a lake and the water is not running. It's got more herb to it. I mean, more nourishment to it. Because that water is still, you see, and it stays right there. But if you go around out here and you pick herb, it's not going to do you any good, because people walk around there and it takes the nourishment right out of it, and there's nothing left.
Okay. One day I was reviewing one of your tapes, and you had mentioned about using rocks for healing and medicine. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they used to do that too. They use rocks, and certain kind of rocks, and it's kind of hard to get right now. There's certain kind of rocks you got to get. You put it in boiling you just burn that thing and get it this hot and put it in the water, you know.
Okay, now when you got these rocks real hot, and what did you do with them then? You said they were in the water. What did you do with the water? Did you drink it afterwards, or?
Well, a lot of people used to drink it, but they cleaned the rocks really good at that time, because you know them days there was no such a thing as germs. Some days there was no germs. You and I was germs. They used to take their leaf tobacco and they passed around, go around like that. There was no germs. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Because people believe in each other, really. They believe in each other. But nowadays, if you do something, they tell you you wash your hand, or
Yes.
or wash a cup or something like that, you know.
Do you know what type of rocks were used?
It was certain kind of rocks. It's a red rock, I claim. It's a red rock.
Did these red rocks come from any place special?
Especially I find them up at Novi, up there. It's just like what they call them. I can't think of the name. Not like Gallo.
Whoop.
Not like Gallo. It's I can't think of the name of it anyway. It's all different colors, and they come from way out in the hills. In springtime, they come down.
In the springtime, these rocks.
Yeah, they come down in the rivers, you know, like they come from the hills. You find them up the Novi up there.
Were these rocks?
No, they
kinda
come up there. They
round?
come. Yeah, they come in all different. They're hard. You can't chip them. Nothing.
Okay. What other type of herbs do you know of being used?
Well, you see them spruce trees out there?
Yes.
You take that spruce. Would you take that little can off there? Yeah. Sit it someplace. It's. You see, you take the bark off that, and you take the bark off. You take the bark off, and inside there's a skin about this big, this much. And you take that skin off. In the wintertime, you put it by the stove and you let it thaw out. And you and you dice it up. You can get them right now, and you dice them up, and you put them in a bag like that. And if you got a flu or something like that, you drink that. You drink that 2 times a day. And I'll tell you, nothing will bother you.
Okay. I had also listened to several tapes, and they mentioned that they had used plants for treating tuberculosis, TB.
Yeah.
Are you aware of any plants?
They say that you go way up on the high mountains up there, and they that's where they get them.
Do you happen to know what type of plants they are?
No, really, I don't know, because that I didn't, like I say, you know, right now, at that time, I didn't pay much attention, you know. I thought I knew it all, so I just left it out, you know, and I never paid attention to it. But as I was growing older, I raced with a guy way back in 1940. 45, I believe. His name was Walter John. He's from Stephen Village, and they couldn't do nothing to him. He had TB. So he went out and he put up a tent right up on the mountain where nobody don't go, and he stayed up there for 2 months. They claim he stayed up there and he used that herb, and he came back and he got his health back again.
Okay. I had read somewhere that they had used spruce pitch for people who had cataracts in their eyes.
Oh yeah, they do that too. Yeah. Well, that stuff, that stinkweed,
Yes.
that they use that too for their eye.
Okay, if you made the,
You just boil it up and then you put that piece of rack and you put it in your eye. Cause Mom had bum eye all the time. She had one one side bum eye, so she used that all the time.
Okay. Using the different plants and herbs for medicine, can it also be used to treat your dogs? Or is this medicine
Do-
just for humans?
No, it's for dogs too. You can use it for human too. 'Cause that dog there, I had a fish hook, one of them fish hook, for a pike. It was this long. It was hanging there, and he, like I say, he jump up and after a squirrel, and he just got in there and went right up. It was just a little bit sticking out, went right up in here.
Cut the paw.
Yeah, cut it, went right up in here. So I just took a razor. I had another fella with me. I took a razor and I just cut it right out there and pulled the hook out. That dog never moved, nothing. Uh, I put that pitch in there, I put that pitch on there, and I tied it up like this. I tied it real tight. In a couple of days, that thing, right now you look at that thing, it's got no mark on the thing. So you can use it. You can use it on animal too. All those things. So
Okay. Um, I'd also been reading that when contact occurred, when the first white men came in, they introduced a lot of different diseases and all. Have you ever heard stories of what herbs or plants were used to combat or treat these new diseases brought in?
well, at that at that time, really, all them stories come from Fort Gibbon. Fort Gibbon, you know where that is, huh? That's Tanana. That's Tanana. All them stories come from there, 'cause that's where the first white people came when they came down there, and they claim that's when the germs started spreading right there. When they were putting the telegraph line, so they were coming up this way, and the soldiers was the one that was doing that. So they that's when they said, that they said some fella cut his hand, and he had a friend, one of them soldiers. He got to be his best friend. So he gave him that iodine, he gave him that iodine, and you don't see that no more now. But in them days, he used the iodine, and they put the iodine in, and that fellow started screaming. Or it make anybody scream. Put that whole bottle of iodine on him, and that's when they says, no, we can't use that stuff, They say they are trying to kill us. They said, and that's it's true right now. I started thinking about them things right today, what they're doing, because my doctor up there, my hip was going out on me, and I thought he was going to operate on me, and he told me if it gets bad, he said, Howard, he says, we're going to have to do something about it. We're going to have to operate on you. So I took some of that pitch with me. I told him to, in case you're going to operate on me, I said, I don't want you to stitch me. I told him, I said, you see this pitch I got here? I told him, this is the one I want you to use on me. I don't want no stitches.
Okay. Do you know of any stories of native medicine and modern day medicine being combined to work? You just gave me one example of if you had to have the surgery, he would have used the pitch instead of stitching.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other stories or methods like that?
Or like a flu, and stuff like that, and those things that that if you believe in them, it'll help you. It'll help you, but you gotta believe in those stuff, And this what I'm trying to tell people right now. The doctors is not everything, because them days they can cut you open, they can heal you up. But that fella just got it. He's just like a doctor, He's just got to know how to do that. My mother used to be a halfway doctor. She used to go around the village and she used to poke people. I used to watch Mom. When I was a little kid, I used to go around with Mom. When they got headache or something like that, they got headache or their breast started bothering them, started swelling up like that. She knows just where it is. She just feel around the head like this and like that. And in the breast, she just could feel it. And she could feel that lump in there. And that's what it is, that stuff in there. And she just burned that knife. She just burned it red hot and just poked on people. That's what it is. It's a stuff just going like this inside. No wonder it's just driving you nuts. I seen Mom do that. And she had a lot of nerve. Right today, if I had to do it, I believe I can do it. Because I see Mom how she does it.
Now, would she poke in deep, or would you just
No,
little?
just a little bit, yeah, just a little bit, so that stuff will come out, and that stuff will come out, and you could see that thing just come out in balls like that, and that's what it is. It's just that it's a headache, and that stuff just started, just like infection, like infection. Your breast get infection, that yellow stuff. It's just going like this, going like that. It's all that rotten blood, just like that. And that's what it is. My mother used to go around and poke people, so I I learned that from my mother because I used to go around with her. And my mother's mom used to be one of the greatest medicine women there was because she's the one that taught Mom how to do these things. Mom was no medicine woman or nothing, but I mean, she knew how to do these things. She could tell you how to believe in it.
Okay. Earlier, you had mentioned that people aren't using uh, plants and herbs for medicine anymore. A lot of this knowledge is being lost.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Do you find that more people are going to Western medicine, finding it's easier to use Western medicine?
I believe so. I believe so. They believe it in themselves. Just like I'm saying, that we have to teach our kids the modern way right now. We're trying to keep up our culture, and now the older people down there now they says no, we can't do it. We got to follow them. But I'm saying no, we can't follow them because if depression comes really hard, we're going to have to go back to these things. And I'll tell you what I'm telling them right now. I said my dollar will be worth more than your dollar because I got the know-how. And I'm telling people that right today, but no, they say we have to follow them. But one of these days you'll be stuck way out in the country out there. And how are you going to go get a doctor? How are you going to notify people and stuff like that? And I believe in traditional ways lots. Because, owl used to carry a message to us. Going to tell you if that person is going to pass away or one of your family is going to pass away or something like that, or you're going to fall in the water or it's going to be hard times, and that owl will carry a message to us and tell us. And I still pay attention to that yet. Whenever I hear owl, I go out there and I listen to them. I can understand them.
Earlier, you mentioned that you learned from your uncle on how to use plants and all, and that your uncle was blind.
Yeah.
Was there any medicine that could be used for your uncle in his blindness?
He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. They wanted him to do it, bring his eyesight back. But he says, that's what my father wanted me to be, and this is the way I want to be. He said, I don't want to be changed, he said.
Do you know what medicines they would have used?
They probably use that stuff there.
You mean the stinkweed?
Yeah, the stinkweed. They probably use that there, yeah.
Okay.
And they use all these, see these spruce needles? They use that stuff there too. They boil that up. They drink it. And they put it on your soreness. they use it for a lot of things, a lot of different things. But